that's where you're hiding. Oh. And I was right. I didn't think that energy was similar. Oh. No, you little buzzer. Don't be a bother. As I'm sure you can tell, a little insect like you would be easy for me to squash. So, keep yourself quiet. I mean in both senses of the word, beast. Good pet. I might yet let you live. Depends on how things go. So please, keep yourself clear from that one. Though I know you won't be able to instantly unhook them. After all, they made this foolish decision themselves. I suppose a good shock to their system will bring them back. So first, hello, dear hero. Pleasure to see you again. Especially without that little sword in my heart. Oh, there's a slight shake. How does it make you feel to know that you and your fellow companions' sacrifice meant nothing? Oh, I can assure you I am quite real. I don't go by that name anymore, not in this life. You may call me an old favorite of mine, Pandora. Quite more appropriate for what I plan to do in this life. I can still see that you're not quite believing I'm real. What a shame. Well, perhaps a little bit of a jog to your memory will bring you back. After all, your blank, stupid thoughts are a bit of a consequence of what you chose to be. So why don't we go back towards your decisions that led here? And then I'll reveal how I found you again. So, my dear hero, it started so long ago. You were brought back from a world of metal and, what was it? Memes. A world of the mundane, as you would call it now. And brought, well, into a new world, 100%. And given a righteous task. For you were brought into this world for one reason. The gods were in need of a hero. After all, the world needing saving. After all, some crazy bitch had taken over the demons, usurped the king in mortal combat, and was gathering them all to fight against all that was right and just in the world. But fear not, for our mighty hero would have companions. 23 others had been brought from the past. Oh, slip of the tongue. Had been brought from another world. So that way they could go over and fight against this vile evil. 24 heroes for 24 parasites. Or godlings, I suppose. After all, that little parasite in the corner is quite different than them. It's much weaker and a lot more cowardly. So I guess I gotta give him that, at least. Now where were we? Yes, many different battles and struggles you had to go through, and different type of issues, but you knew deep in your heart, just as the stories that you were told as a child and that you grew up reading as you were in your adolescence, from side, what was the term? Manga? And the, anime. Yeah, those are the terms, I believe. It's been such a while. That you were righteous, and the demons were nothing more but evil that had to be purged. After all, you had learned that this god had quite a few similarities towards your most holy. As such, oh, you had to follow it and be the great hero, taking down all that was wrong with the world. Hmm. And then you fought, pushing down the doubts within your soul, slaughtering the evil demons, not even thinking of taking prisoners, for they were vile, wrong, evil, corrupted scourge that shouldn't even exist in this world. That was perfectly crafted by the gods, a corruption and natural perversion that didn't deserve to exist. And only by killing all of them could the problem truly be solved. And then you came to the usurper, the natural byproduct, and you fought them. Each one of you were quite mighty, though upon my eons of experience, I was able to put on quite a good fight. Though, of course, you didn't know that at the time, and I'm assuming now they didn't tell you that I wouldn't permanently die. Maybe they hoped that this death would be my last, but I suppose not, it seems. Now where was I? Where was I? Oh, yes. You fought, and many of you died. Only through the combined might of your heroic sacrifices to give such great strikes with the full might of the gods behind you were you able to strike the demon down. A demon that looked quite human compared to the rest, without any noticeable changes. And I suppose at that point, no, much later, must have been later, you then had to celebrate winning. Even though I think only, 6 of you were left by the time I was done. And you had to celebrate a victory for the public, they said. For the public, for the people. You had to celebrate a victory, a great one, ending evil once and for all. As you saw the demons be put in chains. Even the royal family that had been usurped and kept prisoner. Well, those were easy to put away. Easy to throw away as some other. To my understanding, you were one that paid a lot of attention to my corpse, saying you would guard it, right? And you, I'm sure, noticed. I'm no demon. I'm human. A human that took over the kingdom with my pure might. That, along with the fact that you had to celebrate and not even acknowledge the defeat, how close you were to losing. You had to disregard the deaths of your companions, and without any more aid from the divine, thrown away like an easy piece, no longer able to hear their voice, for they had done their interference, now with my temporary passing. The last little bit and the next part of this, I was only able to put together due to a lovely little painter. But you started to do something that a zealot should not. You started to doubt. Did you do the right thing? Were they truly evil? And if they were a scourge upon the world, did they truly not deserve to live? Even if they were outside the original design. And was that even right in the first place? And thinking of the fact that the greatest evil had been set up by, not even one of their own kind. Well, That gives one a lot to think, a lot to contemplate. And with that contemplation comes one thing: guilt. From there, you decide that you couldn't think about the consequences of all these actions. No, never. So you went towards the first, easy solution: drinks. Told you spent a lot of time at the pub, and people were quite willing to give you extra booze. Wrong, too. No one will reach out towards the hero. The hero must know what's right, especially if they're a hero of judgment. No way that theirs could ever be faulty. So, you continued drinking your problems away. But as a hero, well, eventually you grew resistance to those poisons, and the demons in your mind couldn't be laid to rest. So you drank more and more poison into your veins, until it didn't work. Even after drinking an entire tavern's worth, or multiple taverns worth of drinks, strong poisons, mixed in even from venomous creatures, couldn't quite put you down, couldn't make you forget. But it did leave you much, much weaker. Your body, divinely blessed, only barely being able to still beat. So, with your weakened strength, you decided to try and put yourself into work as you had been before, to try and distract yourself that you were much weaker now, and you developed that little parasite. That's how your relationship formed, now. Seeing something over there. And then, I assume from one of your manga, you had a brilliant idea. Because you see, that beast takes over human minds, throws them away. A hive queen able to take over others. Weak still, but a hard fight, especially with all the downside you had. Well, you couldn't probably protect the city, or even if you could, the casualties. Obviously, you couldn't go over and do something like that. So you were left with no choice but, well, to do the righteous thing, the selfless thing, and sacrifice yourself. After all, with your judgment and your type of morals, obviously you'd be able to change this mindless beast into only attacking criminals, to going over and developing a conscience. That was a thought, right? You could go over and change this beast from being a great monster to a benevolent hero from your blood, from yourself. All you had to do was just offer yourself up in the pyre, and then you could create a creature that could save so many more lives. After all, your fallible body would fail, but something like that could live much longer than you, so it was the right thing to do, the selfless thing to do, what a hero would do. I will say, it was a brilliant excuse. Because you didn't want to think in the same vein as every other person from the world before that wished for such corruption of the human spirit. You merely couldn't take the fact that you had to think, that you were responsible for your actions, and you wished for another to take your hand. I will say, there is few things that can surprise me, but seeing you change from zealot to drone, oh, I will say that is surprising to see you be so pathetic. But you had a reason. And well, you couldn't think about all the consequences of everything, so you made an excuse. You couldn't justify killing yourself, so with a good enough excuse, well, you could sidestep that issue, go away from your conscience and your mind that understood that dying probably was a bad thing, and transform it into something noble, something heroic. What a sweet little lie you crafted for yourself. But, I will say, I hope you know it's a lie that this beast has already started deviating from what you were doing. And I suppose that's where I entered into the picture. Because you see, I was hunting around here, going against some remnants from this big crime group. Because I was hunting down them, and there were a few that escaped the net due to one painter. So, with some extra records, I was able to find some that had previously escaped my grasp and came to this town. And then, while fighting one of those evildoers, one of my employees was able to tell me that that one of them tasted different than normal. And that was something that caught my concern. I thought that maybe they were hyping themselves up with some type of drug or something. The time of chemical weapons was like 2 eras ago. It could be revived through there being a relic or something. So I looked into it and I recognized a little energy signature from one of the mighty heroes that I fought so long before. So I started looking, and now that we knew where to look, a lovely little painter, and one who could speak to the damned now. She's evolved quite a bit. Was now able to find a few withered husks of children. Down on their luck, somebody nobody would notice was gone. It seems that your noble sacrifice is already meeting its tethers at the ends. So many drones already wrapped that city. Most criminals, yes, most. But some attempts were made on those orphans. Or people who had only done a small crime like robbery of, I don't know, some bread or something from what I could gather. Minor crimes deemed worthy for them to lose their humanity. Your judgment being faulty once more spread towards this beast. I wish I could tell you that, but no. This beast merely never had to follow what you said, for you never had the willpower to fight back. You just let yourself be passively consumed by it, and never sticking towards your resolve. As such, the beast can ignore your commands pretty easily. The only way it would be able to, be a genuine heroic sacrifice is if you actually put your willpower behind it, but well, that was gone for you, isn't it? And so this mistake was born. Now, do you have anything to say? Oh, darling hero. Yes, I'm real. I'm glad you're finally catching up. After all, it's been a while that queen hasn't been buzzing in your ear. Still, such short responses. Well, I suppose it's still an improvement. Where was I? Oh, yes. To answer your question, I live due to a curse from the same god you bear a mark of. An old one, from a name long forgotten. Cain. Do you know that name? You do come from the time period that it would come from. I thought not. Though it seems you know the name Pandora, at least. Both on me, though Pandora's a later name I took. My own volition. Oh, how the tales change things later on. It's fun. And the reason I'm alive is the same reason your gods hate me. I decided that I wanted to change things. My resolve to change the world didn't falter like yours. Regardless of seeing the ugliness, yeah. Though there were faulty moments, I had decided to keep fighting. regardless of my failures, regardless of times I fucked up. What have I been? Well, recently, Demon Lord, then, what was it? I've been trying some other ones recently, some more gathering support. Princeling, I believe was the last one. I just had to fucking, wear a binder and things. And I just look like a pretty little, bastard child. Very good at setting up a small kingdom war. Unfortunately, a god had to intervene in that one. And just having one of their oracles spread the truth, the trueborn. Before that, it was, was it a rebel I chose after that? Then a few other lives going over as a fighter, mercenary, fire mage, I believe, recently, sword master, sword god, oh, the first one here, if you mean, like, this era, which I'll generously assume you're talking about, with that broken little way of asking, Dragon Rider. Yeah, it would have been Dragon Rider. After that life, I decided to add a new rule. If I was going to go and use others to change this rotten world, they could not be good, pure souls. Luckily for me, your more recent actions, you've forsaken that right, which means I can use you. Oh, well, I'm going to be using you for a job later, but you've reminded me of my second greatest regret. And if she was here, I suppose she would tell me to act differently. Fine. In honor of that, I'll tell you about my third highest regret. Little hero. I understand the urge, personally, of not wanting to think, not wanting to go through. Due to this mark I have right here. Though I suppose it's no longer visible, inside my heart, it's I cannot die. I have tried, and I have perished in many different ways, and then it became incredibly harder to die. And I kept doing that for quite some time. Especially after I was, inside this body. Though the hair is a more recent addiction. I believe it was originally more, what was it? Blonde, I believe? Yeah, blonde, I think. Don't really care too much about the particulars. The hair changed after the calamity, basically. And, pre the calamity, before your time, I had had enough, and I couldn't find a way to conventionally kill myself. Drowning no longer worked. In all the normal means that one could go over and perish, didn't work. I believe the only one I would have any success with at that point in time would have been lightning, but it was hard to figure out how to get one of those to hit you normally, especially back then. So I chose another way. Back then, there were still monsters, but they were rare and far in between. After a certain event, they had come back, for a limited time. So I used one, the last ones, and that one bit me, and it spread its, parasite to me. Same as you, except it was supposed to be more of a symbiosis at first. A new experience, I told myself. Something new to experience upon these endless years. And I let the beast have control over my nigh unkillable body. Same as you. And the beast of calamity grew my hair and changed me to something no longer human, visibly different. I believe it was called a werewolf or something. Though, you know, it was much larger and eventually transformed my body using its vitality into a very, very large wolf. This is where legends get mixed up. From what I understand, I fought and killed a lot of people after that. Because the creature needed to kill a lot and thrived out of fear. And then a legend was born, a proto-hero, you could say, of those from nowadays, with the last bit of might that their judgment had. He raised a hero, less strong than you in this age of magic, but I fought one called King Arthur, and their sword could harm me. It, I suppose, wasn't really in control, and for a while I was back. I wished to die, I wished to fight, and let us take more blows. A warrior's death I longed for. Unfortunately, Excalibur could harm, but not kill. The beast wrestled control from me, and had us flow. We fled. Sometimes on land, sometimes on other places. For the beast had grown quite powerful. And England was the only place that had any protection. So running across it was the waves or clouds, one or the other. We found ourselves somewhere else, and we terrorized those populations slowly going through. Many disasters befell the land, and we went further from Britain as time went on, starting to experience more of the world. Eventually, the beast had the same type of curse, not literally as me. Boredom. So we tried to find another land, somewhere else we could go. And as it was on the other end of the world, it saw an island, possibly somewhere over there. And through a few attempts, eventually we found this land called Japan. We fought there as one of its yokai, I believe was the name. A beast of calamity, a poison, going through everything. Till even then, the beast grew tired. A hero would rise up there as well. I don't recall the name, but one of the many legends of slaying a yokai came forward, and the beast was injured. So it slept. It found a place and dug deep. After all, we were unable to suffocate anymore. So it dug down deep in the ground, in a place where a city would eventually come up. We laid there for thousands upon thousands of years, until I suddenly heard something, a rumble for but a mere instant, and then we were gone. We awoke. I awoke to a new world. Something so radically different than anything I had seen before. Buildings that were so very tall and defined. Flying pieces of metal in the sky. And weaponry I couldn't even think of. Seriously, slingshots that were mechanized, I believe is the word, that were incredibly durable and stronger than bows, stronger than any bow. It was fascinating to see these changes, and I read about how everything developed in the way it did. 2 world wars occurred, and a mighty weapon was launched at me, coincidentally, to wake me up from all this. What luck that I was able to now see the world. I'm sure that that's worth shame, I suppose. But I was able to see again. And I recognized how much things had changed so rapidly and would continue to rapidly change. And my regret was deciding that I would do as you have. For the time that I had turned my brain off, that I had purposely distanced myself from all of humanity, all the time that I threw away, I was unable to enjoy the world, see it develop, see these grand inventions, and be there side by side as I had been for the rest of the time in so many parts of the world. I was unable to do that. See the changes that occurred, only read them in a history book instead of being beside the inventions. Seeing firsthand the accounts and how wildly different they are compared to recorded history. I could only get a second-hand account now of all these magnificent changes I had no part in. And that was my great regret. All these grand transformations I was unable to see due to me deciding to throw away my humanity and throw away my will, because it got tough for me. Never again, I swore, and since then I have never done such a foolish act like you have here. It is pathetic to throw away your life just because things are hard. But it's even worse to come up with an excuse, to say it in a different way instead of owning up to what you are truly doing, because you know deep down that what you are trying to do here, you're ending yourself in everything but body, is wrong, and you know it. But you need to do it to forgive yourself for your sins, but already that plan hasn't worked, has it? That excuse, that lovely little bow that you could tie on to the end of your story, has already fallen apart, it seems. Because I think you're now conscious enough to know that I speak truth, in that that beast wasn't following your orders, your pitiful little demands to let it use your body as a helpful little drone. But fear not, while that hive mind cannot use you properly, I can. After all, using yourself for another, well, I don't personally agree with it. If that's going to be your position, perhaps being used for an intelligent design would work much better. Because you see, I have learnt a lot from my last life. One, that I am quite strong, but I will never be strong enough to fight all of you. While I can fight many of you, and I can lay a lot of damage, it would take many more eons before I could even take on your first wave, and even if I did, I'm sure they'd just summon more. That would be a dead end. That was the final nail in the coffin for me, but it did help me. Because you see, they had to do other things to help out on that war. They had to have preachers, oracles, not directly go over and say that they need to kill every demon. They just need to rise up like demons were perhaps a little bit wrong, not part of the original design, and everything else fell into place. And with seeing that new part of the vileness that leads this world, I was able to figure out a new solution. If the oracles cannot be able to directly tell people to go to war, but they can guide people into right positions, and all they have to do is just be mute for the new little race war to begin for the godlings' entertainment, then I need to change my approach. If I couldn't fight all the heroes myself, well, I need to set up a place of powerful fighters on myself, which I could guide and tend to wherever I need them to be. And with a unique skill set and those the gods would forsake for the lovely little stories, well, I wouldn't have competition now, would I? Radiant redemption. A way to purify the little concepts, the little wrinkles in the story that nobody really wants to answer. Changing them but still accepting the fact that as they had to be redeemed, that they messed up. Your plan here would have resulted in the death of the entire city, possibly more. And your actions during the war to go over and be an unthinking zealot have consequences. But we can fix that. For while you bonding with that creature is pitiful, it can be used. Having infiltrators in just the right places to get some more information, well, that could help out a lot in working out a bit more of the rot of this world. And as you have no more hold on, well, the one we both used to call law, and they are gonna have a harder time, well, hurting you. Though, of course, for all that, it will require a more intelligent brain, something that's a lot more able to think ahead. And while I can direct you quite well, I need a bit more of a brain to go over and help. Especially since I would need a second in command. Somebody else who is a battle experience, somebody else I can go over and delegate to give a greater effect and help it, so that way the gods can't directly intervene again. For my plans come to fruition. Or if they can, only by using their oracles, not summoning some new hero, or some grand weapon, or whatever, to take care of me. More keeping it to the ground level, paladins and such. Something that can be dealt with by you and a team of competent people that I've already started gathering. Doesn't that seem like something that you could use to redeem yourself? No longer being a thinking puppet, but your own individual. Though, of course, you'll still answer to me. You will be allowed to question my orders, and I will answer. And if I make a mistake, you will have the right to question me about it. Unlike your feeble godlings, I know that I can be wrong. And all I need to do, just like my last attempt, is adapt. But now. Besides, you coming back to humanity would help more. As said, I need a battle-hardened person to go over and help me. And as the last little cell, I can tell you who your co-workers would be. There's this cannibal. A shark? Yes, a cannibal. They're a reformed cannibal. I know. I'm happy that I got through to you. Anyway, and they have extreme body modification. As such, they can be quite a tanker to help out, and have saved many different children and adults by transmogrifying their body to take a larger hit, or, well, changing themselves to drag children away from monsters and men. With your help, they can get clearance towards the problematic areas to save more lives before the fighting even starts. Another is a necromancer, one that is brilliant and kind-hearted. She has done much good work and seems to take much purpose in helping souls going over. She's even learned to converse with the dead. Her, along with Painter, have been doing some lovely detective work in finding out different people, different random incidents, actual murders. They've learned a lot more about their skill sets. I'm proud of them, honestly. And she's still working on one main project, and I'm waiting to see in case I need to inform her that she would be ripping her pet soul from paradise for it to be back with her. She's close to that realization, but she's a bit in self-doubt. Seeing perhaps a hero like you would probably be better at soothing that. Though, if she still needs it, I will be pointing it out towards her. And from there, I'll see what she decides to do. I'll support her either way. She's earned the right to be selfish. A bloody painter has been the latest one. Similar to you, vigilante. Want to do good. Though, vigilante is different than you. You were basically goody two-shoes, doing exactly as the order told you. No, this one took matters into their own hands because they could see the evil in people's souls. And if it helps you, they saw that I am and saw that my cause was just heroic, even. Or to put it in a different way that you perhaps are more familiar with. If you self-sacrifice yourself towards my mission, well, what else is more heroic? Deciding to put aside your own grudges and problems and your own wants and needs, or what you think you need to help out some wayward children. Two, at the very least. No, they aren't quite children, but to me and you, they would be younger, so I suppose that works, especially for me. And telling them the wonders of a world long, long past. I see you're completing it. Good. Though I shall have you know, whether you want to or not, I will purify your corruption, bring your humanity back, even if you're kicking and screaming. I'm not asking. After all, a hero like you has an obligation to right yourself from your sins and help purge the rot of this world. No. There we go. I'll hope it's that way your companion over there can be gone from a hive queen and the leader of everything to a partner or familiar, even. Gradual process as you come back, but a good little bug like that knows to properly follow orders, unless it wants to get squashed. So come now, tell me what you know, and let's go squash a few more criminal infestations.